In a previous episode of McBLOG, I talked about Päivi Räsänen, who's a medical doctor, mother of 5, grandmother of 7. She's married to a pastor, and she's a politician. She's a member of the Finnish Parliament and was the former Minister of the Interior. Now, Päivi Räsänen was facing 3 criminal charges. Her crime? She publicly voiced her deeply held Bible beliefs, and the decision has been delivered. So the Finnish prosecutor general brought the 3 criminal charges against Päivi Räsänen at the beginning of last year, and she faced up to 2 years of imprisonment. What was her crime? Well, she was accused of having engaged in hate speech for publicly voicing her opinion on marriage and human sexuality in a 2004 pamphlet, Male and Female He Created Them, Homosexual Relationships Challenge the Christian Concept of Humanity. Also charged for comments made on a 2019 radio show and for a tweet which was directed at her church leadership the same year, where she challenged the church's support of a pride parade and she quoted Romans 1 from the Bible. Now, during their closing arguments, the prosecution argued that the use of the word sin could be harmful. Well, Israel Folau knows all about what happens when you mention the word sin, although just for certain groups though. Now, it's important to note Päivi Räsänen also led the opposition against the passage of a law recognising same-sex marriage in Finland. So I guess you could say she was a marked person. Sounds a little bit like Family First, doesn't it? Well, the decision is in. End of last week, and 3 years after it all began, and a Finnish court has upheld the right to free speech by dismissing all charges against Päivi Räsänen and Bishop Pajola, who was a bishop who published one of the documents. And in a unanimous ruling, the court concluded that it is not for the district court to interpret biblical concepts. The prosecution was ordered to pay more than €60,000 in legal costs, and they've got 7 days to appeal the ruling. And in an online media conference, Päivi explains the outcome.
The interest in this case rises from the concern that if this kind of questioning of free speech is possible in a country like Finland, which has a good reputation regarding free speech internationally, the same is possible anywhere. In the latest Rule of Law Index, Finland ranked 3rd. It is alarming that in a country that ranked so high, I have been criminally charged for voicing my deeply held beliefs that are based on classical Christianity.
Yeah, you'll note that I left on the subtitles because her accent's a little bit hard to catch in places, although the subtitles are not always truly correct either. Now, actually, Päivi mentioned the rule of law and that Finland was 3rd on the list. And actually, I was interested to see where New Zealand was ranked, and we were ranked 7th on that list. So Finland 3rd, we were 7th. Now, she also mentions about the deal that the police offered when they were threatening her with prosecution.
Police also asked if I agreed to delete my writings within 2 weeks. I answered no, and that I stand behind these teachings of the Bible, whatever the consequences. I will not recant what I have said and not renounce my faith based on the Bible.
Yeah, she's very inspiring, isn't she? Now, Paul Coleman is the executive director of ADF, Alliance Defending Freedom International. It's an international law firm that defends religious freedom. And in this media conference, he quoted some of the key statements in the judgment.
Pamphlet that Päivi wrote many years ago, the court held, and I quote, "For the reasons stated above, the district court considers that the purpose of Räsänen's writing was not to insult or offend homosexuals, but to defend the concept of family and marriage between a man and a woman according to Räsänen's religious beliefs," end quote. In regard to the Twitter charge against her, the court held, and I quote, "It is not the role of the district court to interpret biblical concepts, end quote. And then in regard to the other charge against Päivi Räsänen, in regard to the radio debate, the court recognized the context in which this speech occurred. It was in the context of a debate. And the court said, I quote, Räsänen answered questions that were posed and tried to justify her opinions as part of the debate. Räsänen's answers have represented the view of her faith. And then it went on, there must be an overriding social reason for interfering with and restricting freedom of expression.
So some very good statements in that judgment. Now, there was also, as I said earlier, a bishop on trial with Päivi, the politician, because he had helped publish the pamphlet. And Bishop Pajola says this. He says, however, in the court decision, it was said that our pamphlet includes offensive speech against homosexuals, but not defaming in the criminal sense. That makes me worried, because although people can be offended by different things, the biblical teaching is never offensive in the sense of degrading human value, but it's truthful, healing, and liberating. I do not accept the idea that our writing included hate speech, no matter what the surrounding society might say. Now, this case sets an important precedent for Europe, but even for similar cases around the world, and the trend is growing for these types of cases. And the prosecutor in Finland may appeal the decision, but hopefully they will see common sense. Unfortunately, in New Zealand, we can already see incremental steps to criminalising the pulpit and the Bible. It's already started with the conversion therapy ban, and it will continue with hate speech legislation. The hidden agenda behind such laws is the development of a culture of fear and self-censorship, and it's for the purpose of political intimidation and control. You know, thoughts and ideas which are undesirable to special interest groups from the left will be able to be silenced simply by framing them as hateful. And such groups will claim to believe in free speech just as long as it's speech that they approve of. And these groups really do hate some of the speech in the Bible. As Raylene Castle said about Israel Folau posting Bible verses, he said, it's okay if it's just the good bits. Well, as George Orwell said, the further a society drifts from the truth, the more it will hate those that speak it. In reality, the problem is not prosecution per se. The problem is privatization, the withdrawal of Christianity from the public square. Keep speaking the truth, even if.